Welcome to Counterpunch, another episode of Counterpunch with Trevor Loudon. Please like the show, share the show, and subscribe on Epoch TV. You'll hear information here you won't get elsewhere. Well, I'm going to take a little break from Ukraine today. Not that I'm not deeply concerned about that country, but I've had an idea and I want to share it with you and I want to get some feedback. The problem in every Western country now is that we're all deeply infiltrated by foreign agents. I'm talking agents of China, of Russia, of Iran, some of the Muslim countries, Turkey in some instances. Every country in the Western world is deeply penetrated by foreign agents. Now, this has been going on since time immemorial, but it really amped up after the communist era because the communists knew they could never win on their merits. They knew they had to infiltrate. I had a friend who trained in Moscow in the 80s. At one of the big training schools there, Lenin's Institute for Higher Learning, 3,500 students. And he said you could never overstate the importance that the communists placed on having people in positions of influence, people in power in other countries, secret agents working for them. They claimed the Allied victory in World War II was because of the number of communists they had inside the Nazi machine. They are experts at this. At the same time in New Zealand, a friend of mine talked to a member of our security intelligence services. We'd just elected a left-wing Labour government at the time. And this intelligence officer said to my friend, he said, look, the people we used to watch are now our bosses. Meaning that they had been surveilling the communists and now the communists were running the government. And this is a big problem with public intelligence services. The big problem of political intelligence services, when you have a communist government in power, when radicals get into the government, the intelligence services become neutralized. We see this in America today. For many years, the FBI used to focus on communists within America. They had the Communist Party deeply infiltrated. I remember an FBI guy telling me that the Northern California Communist Party was led by 5 people. 3 of them were FBI informants. But now the communists have effectively taken over the FBI. The left has taken over the CIA. The people who were supposed to be watching out for us, guarding us against the communists and the radicals and the Islamic terrorists, etc., are now penetrated. Deeply penetrated. We saw this in the Trump administration, the so-called deep state. Well, please read Diana West's great book, The Red Thread. The deep state goes back to Russia. Most of the actors in the deep state, the people attacking Trump, had Russian or communist connections. We're talking the Comey of the FBI admitted his past communism. Brennan, the head of the CIA, voted for the Communist Party leader in America as a student. He admitted this and the CIA still let him in, which just shows how absolutely lax the security of those organizations is. So the penetration is deep. We have thousands of Chinese agents in America right now. Some say about 25,000.
Even as I stand here talking with you today, the FBI has about 1,000 investigations involving China's attempted theft of U.S.-based technology in all 56 of our field offices and spanning just about every industry and sector.
But then there are thousands of Chinese students, and at least 10% of those are working for Chinese intelligence services. But they're allowed to walk through the laboratories, they're allowed to work in secret installations and universities doing high-tech research, no problem. We have Iranian agents working through groups like NIAC, the National Iranian Action Committee, who are openly funding American congressmen. We have groups like the Council for a Livable World, which was set up by a known Soviet agent, Leo Szilard, to recruit American politicians who would work to gut the US military. They gave us Biden, they gave us Obama, they gave us Dianne Feinstein, they gave us over 40 of the current Democrat senators serving in the Senate right now. They've elected over 200 in total since they started. They've elected over 250 congressmen. Speaking of Dianne Feinstein, that woman who has served as the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee has been working with Russian communists since the 1950s and Chinese communists since the 1980s. She brought a delegation of Soviet journalists to Stanford University in the 50s. Who does that? Then she was actively involved, moved in communist circles for several years. When she was mayor of San Francisco, she promoted Soviet causes. She then started promoting Chinese causes. She became a great friend of several Chinese leaders and helped China to get into the World Trade Organization, which enabled them to build the huge economy they have today and the huge military they have today. All that time, she had a Chinese agent. She says her driver. He wasn't her driver, he was her office manager. I have seen that he was getting Defense Department documents across his desk. He was her senior staff member for many years, a fully recruited Chinese agent. So we've got a very deep penetration in the United States. So what do we do? So this is what I would do if I was Trump or if I was whoever assumes the US president who has a conservative and patriotic bent. And this same principles could apply in Britain or France or New Zealand or Australia. If you have a patriotic leader, this is what they could do to get rid of much of the foreign subversion and interference. I would declare an amnesty. First of all, I would set up a new agency. And I would set it up with maybe 1,000 intelligence officers. And these would be guys and men and women who had left the service at least 10 years, who left at the very early days of the Obama administration, who were purged by Obama or were not tainted by the Obama administration, because he brought heaps of bad people into the government. So these would have to be people who didn't have that taint. I would set up a new intelligence agency. It would be deeply compartmentalized so that if parts of it were compromised, the other parts would remain untouched. And it would be highly trusted officers from a wide range of intelligence services, military intelligence, DEA, CIA, FBI, the whole lot. It would be a new intelligence service. And it would be all about ferreting out foreign agents operating in this country. So we get this up and running. We get it functioning. We get it together. Then the president would declare a 3-month amnesty. An amnesty for every foreign agent working in the country. Every Iranian agent, every Chinese agent, every North Korean agent, every agent that wasn't covered by diplomatic immunity. And by the way, I'd massively reduce diplomatic immunity. But so you got all these people out there who are working with American businessmen, working with American politicians. I declare a 3-month amnesty. You have 3 months to either leave the country or turn yourself into this new intelligence agency and spill your guts. The ones who came forward would be used to tell the American people about the extent of these networks and how much they've corrupted our politics and our business and our academia, because the public needs to know. This is the overriding importance of this.